Before we get into the actual subject of the video, I need to mention that I've done a collab with Comic Origins on none other than Two-Face. The video features the Long Halloween and Two-Face's new 52 origin, The Big Burn. A link to the video is down in the description, so check it out. Magpie was created by writer-artist John Byrne. She made her first appearance in The Man of Steel issue 3, published in 1986. In this story, which is a retelling of the first meeting between Superman and Batman, Superman pays a visit to Gotham City. Superman doesn't approve of Batman's methods, and has thus decided to take him down. However, he catches Batman in the middle of a case involving a bizarre thief and murderer known as Magpie. This Magpie has pulled off a string of capers, all using the same MO, stealing jewelry and replacing them with booby-trapped replicas. This has resulted in multiple deaths and injuries. Clearly, this criminal needs to be stopped, so Superman puts aside his beef with the Dark Knight and decides to help him catch Magpie instead. Later in the story, we learn that Magpie's real name is Margaret Pye. She's a very disturbed woman, a former museum curator who became completely obsessed with shiny things. That's why she steals jewelry and diamonds, not because she wants money, but because she's just obsessed with shiny things. If it's pretty and sparkly, she has to have it. At the end, Superman and Batman naturally defeat Magpie, and yes, Superman does get off Batman's back. Kind of a strange story and comic to introduce this new Batman villain in. The first meeting between Batman and Superman. You'd think they'd use an old classic Batman villain for such an occasion, like the Penguin or the Riddler, but no. Oh well. It did not take long before Magpie returned. In fact, she returned the very same month, in issue 401 of Batman. Yeah, that wasn't very long. The issue was written by Barbara J. Randall and drawn by Trevor Von Eden. Considering the previous story took place early in Batman and Superman's careers, this is several years later. Margaret has now been released from Arkham, despite recommendations against it. Naturally, she immediately begins a new crime wave, using a similar MO to last time. Instead of knocking off jewelry stores, she steals rich women's necklace gems. But exactly like last time, she replaces them with deadly replicas, which results in some pretty grisly deaths. All of these gems are also bird-related somehow, so Magpie's really going for that bird theme now. Looks like the Penguin's got some competition. Anyway, to capture the crazy crook, Batman decides to set a trap for her, using Bruce Wayne as bait. He holds a grand showing of the famous Wayne Jewel collection at Wayne Manor. Just as he figured, Magpie can't resist, and does indeed show up to steal the gems. Naturally though, at the end, she's defeated and captured by Batman. So, 2 appearances in the same month, and one of them in the seminal Man of Steel series. Clearly DC wanted Magpie to be big. So, I don't understand what happened next, because Magpie never got another story ever again. These 2 issues are the only Magpie stories DC published. It took a very long time before she even appeared again at all, not until 2003 in the miniseries Arkham Asylum Living Hell. Magpie appears in a small role here as Poison Ivy's cellmate. She's shown prostituting herself for useless shiny objects, like shards of glass. She does anything to get her hands on shiny stuff. 3 years later, in the Face-to-Face storyline, Magpie was killed off. It was part of a scheme by the Great White Shark to frame a reformed Harvey Dent. Yep, she was now dead. Killed off-panel even. In 2011, DC rebooted their entire universe though, which meant that Magpie was once again alive. Did this lead to any big Magpie stories? Well, of course not. But she has started to appear more since then. Of course, it's all in very small roles. Sometimes she has lines and appears for a few pages. Other times, she's only seen in the background, saying nothing. A few comics have featured her prominently on the cover, making it seem like she's got a major role. like Batgirl issue 8, published in 2017, and Batman issue 79, published in 2019. But the truth is, these are just small roles too. In the Batgirl issue, she briefly appears working for something called Walk Home. It's an app for people who are too scared to walk home alone late at night. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And she then gets her ass kicked by Batgirl for no real reason. In the Batman issue, she appears for one single page and gets her ass kicked by Catwoman. She was working for Bane selling venom or something. So yeah, these covers are very misleading. Sorry Magpie fans, but she hasn't made an awesome comeback. But it's not too late for that, it can still happen. Oh no, they killed her off again. In a Suicide Squad comic in 2020. Off panel, again. Yeah, she's dead as the dodo. Meanwhile though, Magpie has begun to appear outside of comics, quite a lot even. In 2013, she appeared in the Batman cartoon, Beware the Batman. She was one of the show's recurring villains, getting 2 episodes solely dedicated to her. This version sported a complete visual redesign that seems to have really caught on, as this is how she mainly looks nowadays. Magpie is quite different on this show than she is in the comics. She's introduced as a former Blackgate prisoner who was subjected to experiments. These experiments meant to erase her criminal behavior, but instead erased her memories, and also created a second persona, Magpie. In her first episode, Magpie is trying to get her memories back, attacking the people responsible for the experiments. She likes shiny things, like Batman's belt, but she's not obsessed with them. She also shares a lot of Catwoman characteristics, like being very flirty with Batman and trying to lure him over to the dark side. In her second episode, she's even become obsessed with Batman, and her main driving motivation now is to bang the Bat. So yeah, she's less Magpie and more of a weird, poor man's Catwoman. But the show did introduce her to a wider audience, so that's good. Magpie also appeared in one episode of Gotham in the final season. This version is more like the comics, a thief who steals gems and replaces them with deadly replicas. Whether she was obsessed with shiny things, we never really find out, as she's killed off in the same episode. She has also appeared in a few episodes of the Batwoman TV show. This version is just a cat burglar though, so truly a poor man's Catwoman. Which kinda begs the question, why feature her at all and not just use Catwoman instead? So, in my recent White Rabbit video, I said that Batman needs more female villains, now that most of them have become anti-heroes. I suggested White Rabbit as a candidate, but here we have another one that's been around for decades, just kinda laying around, not being used. Why? Why not use her? I really don't know what happened to Magpie, why she was abandoned after 1986, or why she hasn't been brought back now. I mean in bigger roles, not the glorified cameos she gets. Now that Batman's married Catwoman and Harley and Ivy have gotten married and moved out of Gotham or whatever they've done, Batman could use Magpie. You know, instead of just killing her off constantly, you could actually build her into an actual Batman villain. With her 2 1986 stories, you've got a great blueprint to work with. I also don't understand why Magpie's devolving into a poor man's Catwoman. Giving her a black outfit probably wasn't a great idea either, as now she looks like Catwoman too. She even has claws, for Christ's sake. The classic version, while a thief like Selina, was still very different. She was insane, obsessed, and a vicious killer, all of which Catwoman isn't. She was a perfect fit for the Batman Rogues Gallery too, with her irrational obsession with shiny things. The best Batman villains are irrationally obsessed with something, like Two-Face and his coin and the number 2, the Riddler and his riddles, Scarecrow and Fear, Mad Hatter and his hats and Alice in Wonderland, etc. These sick obsessions are what makes them interesting. They're crippled, damaged people, and so was Magpie. I'd say keep her obsession reserved for shiny things though, and tone down the bird theme. That's Penguin's gimmick. Magpie's bird theme should be very subtle. She likes shiny things, just like birds. That's enough. You don't need her stealing bird-related trinkets too. So, what do you think about Magpie? Do you like her? Do you dislike her? Do you want to see her in a big way again or not? Do you also think she's kinda becoming a poor man's Catwoman, or do you disagree with that? What's her best design? The old one or the new one? Let me know the answers to all of these questions down below. And as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.